Financial markets then and now.
We decided we should go back in time and figure out what would we have done if the dot-com bubble happened and we were around, but we weren't as active in the stock market. So
The
it's just
world
curious.
was ending.
The world was ending, right?
What we're doing is we're going back in time and we're going to see if there's any similarity to what was said back then to what's happening now. Does any of that apply or inform how we should be responding to the current situation and the mainstream media or the narrative around it?
Yeah, so let's read the articles and put our mindset into 2001, the
Mhm.
dot-com bubble. What's up, guys? 2001, baby!
Hey, what's up, man?
All right, so like I just started investing. It's 2001, straight out of college,
Yeah.
baby. And
Mhm.
I just bought Amazon. It was going up. It was 80
Aren't
bucks.
they? I heard that
Yeah.
they think they're going to close Barnes and Nobles. Could you imagine?
Barnes and Nobles is winning. They're going to win
Right.
the online store
Of
race.
course. I mean, look, if Barnes and Nobles closes, that's the end of the world, right?
So,
That'd be like saying Blockbuster is going to go out of business. Are you kidding me?
I buy books from Amazon, right? So you do too, right? For school?
No, I go to the Barnes and Nobles on 6th and
Oh, you
23rd.
you
It's
still use
so
the Barnes and
convenient.
Noble? Okay, yeah,
Yeah, it's
like
right
my
there near me.
grandparents.
How do you trust that? Like you're putting your credit card information online? Like that's weird.
It is weird. I agree with you, but I'm really lazy. I don't want to go anywhere, so I figured it's like perfect. So I'm buying all my books. I might as well buy some of the stock because I'm spending so much money at Amazon. I bought it in around January, 110 bucks or so. I thought it was like, this is a deal. Amazon's going to the moon. I might as well buy some of the stock because I'm spending so much money at Amazon. I bought it right here in March of 99, thinking I was a genius. Luckily, I'm a poor student and I only put in 2,500 bucks.
That's a ton of money though.
Honestly, I'm like shocked because at what did I pay? I paid like $4.34.
Split adjusted.
Okay. And so what ended up proceeding happening, even though this tool looks relatively new, like it's from 2022 or 2023.
What are you talking about? There'll be flying cars by then.
So look at this drop that I'm suffering now, and 93.2%. Is that right? This is the first time I'm looking at how much I've lost. 2,500. Okay, and it went down 93%. So that's a loss of 23.25. So I do
Right.
2,500 minus 23.25. I'm down to $175.
Oh, holding strong, man.
So imagine I put in 100 grand into, Amazon, 100 grand, and you lose 93. I mean, we could do this math easy. It's
Yeah.
93%, but you lose $93,000. You have $7,000 left. Imagine the devastation there. So luckily I only put in 2,500 bucks. I'm a poor college student. I figure maybe I should take my 115 bucks or whatever was that, 175 bucks.
Just sell it out and buy yourself something nice because then like what's the point?
People are telling me that I should put puts against Amazon, and I didn't do it in time. Wait, did you also buy Amazon too at the top? Like
Yeah,
me,
well,
or
yeah,
I thought I
yeah,
was the only one?
back in the day. I got some money for my birthday back in January. So I just put it into Sharebuilder and it bought for me Tuesday morning.
And then we forgot about it, and look what happens. It's down 95%. I mean, this is
know.
what happens when you don't pay attention every day.
I know. My .com buddy said it was just going to go up and up and up and up forever. I haven't heard from him in a while since his wife left him.
This has come out today. It's February 8th, 2001, apparently.
Yeah.
Recent Amazon.com casualties offer closing thoughts. So apparently there were some casualties. I must be one of these. And early last week, when Amazon.com laid off 1,300 people, or 15% of its workforce, this is a sign that I waited too long because now they're laying off people and they're obviously not going to survive. One long overdue reality became obvious when shareholders get antsy for profits, and Amazon wasn't profitable. I should have known that. I bought it unprofitable when it was unprofitable. Even a new economy company like Amazon must still play by old economy rules. And it's not a pretty sight. According to current and former Amazon employees, they were given the bad news by people they'd never seen or worked with before, and were quickly escorted out of the building by security guards. They, quote, they gave me about 5 minutes to get my stuff, says a confused former employee.
A dazed and confused former employee.
If we were to fast forward to today, I just want to go there quickly, even though we're not supposed to be there. Amazon will lay off more than 18,000 workers. This came out January 5th, 2020.
They did 10x.
Since we're doing this kind of back and forth, this is 15% of their workforce.
8,700 employees total at that time.
And 1,300 were laid off.
Amazon in 2020 had 1,298,000 employees.
So we do 18,000 divided by 1,200,000 what?
98,000.
98,000. So we have times 100, and you can see they've laid off only 1.4% this time. So so much for early retirement in the Bahamas, this employee says, I guess. Amazon deserves some credit, however, for offering stock options and a minor severance package to laid off workers. Okay, now to those stock options worth absolutely nothing.
Right. That's super interesting that they offered them stock options at the time.
If you ignored the noise and you did in DCA into a falling market, and by the way, you would never be able to time this bottom. Like, who would be able to do that? Wow. Like, I don't know. I don't think I can do that. Meaning, like, once I saw it 50% down, I would think it's a good buy, and that would be probably around here. That'd be probably around $1.14 when I would think it's a good buy. Like right now, certain stocks are down.
From bottom to bottom, how many years was that to go the ride all the way up and all the way back down?
We're stopping the video for a second because we want you to join our Discord. It's free. Link is on the bottom, or we're going to put a big image right here so you see it. And here's a nice big image of our Patreon. It's $5. You can support us, and I need more wigs for my collection.
Right. If you want to see Vitaly as a blonde, join Discord or join the Patreon and make that happen. From bottom to bottom, how many years was that to go the ride all the way up and all the way back down?
Let's say almost 2002, by the way. And then this was the beginning of 98. So 98, 99, 2000, 2001, almost 5 years, almost.
98 to not, yeah, all of 98, all of 99, 2000, 2001, and then, yeah, end of 2001. So about 4.5 or 4.75 years.
Let me just check how long it took from this top to get all the way down for Amazon. It took 673 days, over 2 years. Yeah, I mean, we could be in a similar situation. I wouldn't be surprised.
But what was the S&P 500?
98 is somewhere around here where Amazon was going up. And then, yeah, the collapse, I think it's pretty much spot on here.
Well, no, the collapse of the S&P, and you see that level where it bounced off of that. That purple line at 1,028 is where it bounced. That's where Amazon bottomed. Right there. No, up, back up. Right there is where it bottomed. That's where Amazon bottomed. Look, August 1st, 2001. So September that year is when Amazon bottomed and went off to the moon, but the S&P continued to fall.
Interesting. Well, because Amazon collapsed 93%. That could be another reason, obviously, that happened. And the S&P bottomed in August. I'm sorry, topped in August. Amazon topped in November of 99.
What was the first top?
Well, the first top is here, but we have to look at this top.
Okay,
this
April, yeah, April and November. So 99, it topped.
99. It topped, and over here, the S&P topped in August of 2000. I would say, what is that, a year later? So you're talking about a year later from roughly here, S&P tops. Amazon already is heading down because the dot-com bubble bursts, but S&P stocks were considered, more stable.
If you overlay
same
those
thing
charts,
is here, right?
Yeah,
similar thing is happening right now.
Amazon was 1 year ahead of the market. It topped a year earlier and it bottomed a year earlier.
It sounds very familiar to what's happening now with tech stocks that last year started to crumble, and S&P only started to crumble this past year. But I think we already had a year and a half of like
about a year and a half, yeah.
Tech stocks already falling. So this is interesting the way it plays itself out. S&P sort of lags a little bit.
It indicates to me that this is just a natural sort of circulation of money. Different things cause it, but this is how money moves in and out of different industries and across the world.
Well, it shows you that the growth stocks of that era, 2001, will get smashed first. Which, let's relate that to now. We got smashed first in our growth stocks, right?
Well, because that's the most speculative money, right? That's the money that
where did it go? It went into those safer bets until those safer bets start to crumble themselves a bit, right? Like right now, even Apple's the last bet that's sort of teetering. Yeah. Okay. So much for early retirement. That part. This guy's not going to the Bahamas. We know that. On the creepy side, employees claim that certain departments were targeted because of union efforts. Morale is low and everyone is freaked out, says a former employee.
You can copy and paste that comment to what Twitter employees were saying when Elon bought Twitter.
Yeah, it sounds obviously like there's a market that's collapsing. That's what it sounds like. Even though Amazon recently reversed its controversial press policy, mandating that former employees cannot talk about the business, the following exit interviewees laid off last week still wish to remain anonymous. You see Jeff Bezos in a grocery store. One sentence. What would you say? Okay, Jennifer, a 3.5-year veteran, I'd say profitability. Jeff at any price. The scary thing is he would say yes. Michael, a 3-year veteran, before laying off 1,300 highly productive and motivated people, you should have thought more about the long term instead of short-term fix to please investors. That's interesting because we don't think of Jeff Bezos thinking in short-term periods. Right. You know what I mean? We think of him thinking.
It also goes to show that this was Jeff Bezos at this time was the hated billionaire.
Yes,
he was the
that
one
was definitely yes.
He was the guy.
For 10 years. For 10 years, like he was
Yeah.
like in the seat. Given that Amazon has never been profitable, how did the company convince you it would eventually succeed? A great question, right? Jennifer, she says, it was my trainer. He had the manic glow in his eyes, and he told all of us we were doing something we could tell our grandkids about, and we were making history. It was kind of David Koresh-like.
David Koresh was the guy from Waco, Texas.
Okay, so Michael says, well, when I first started working there 3 years ago, the stock was always going up. And that's what I experienced when I invested roughly for one day. The stock was always going up, and Amazon was always growing. The company was always trying to get big really fast. And they kept pushing the message. We only hire the best people with the best attitudes. So I believe there was no way we couldn't reach profitability. If you were an Amazon bigwig, would you have laid off people to reach profitability faster, or was there a better solution? Jennifer, I can understand why they did it, but I would have done it in a much more graceful and humane way. Is Amazon going to be around in 2005?
That's
Okay,
5 years.
Questions. People were asking these questions. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
This is 4 years from the date this was written.
Jennifer says, I don't know. Part of me feels like people are growing leery of buying inner tubes and pink flamingos on the internet.
Oh, she.
Wow. But I mean, this is worth discussing, Jennifer. I wonder where
where are you now? Hashtag like finding Jennifer.
No one was sure that Amazon would actually succeed, even though I was buying my books from there and reading, besides school books, I was just buying to read for pleasure. I know people never heard of this, but
yeah.
Now that we have the internet, people haven't.
Right. Why would you read? Yeah. Why would you read an actual book?
And remember, like, do you remember, like, it took years, but Amazon started selling other things.
I was an Amazon holdout for a long time. I was one of the last people. I was the guy that by the time I switch, you're like, that's when it's time to sell your stock.
So you just switched this year.
Right. Back in the day, I didn't trust the idea that it was all on one server. I would say, why would I go through Amazon? I'll just go to the company directly. So I was one of the last holdouts until I forgot what it was. There was something that I had to buy on Amazon and I made an account. And then once you make the account, that's it. You're done. I say that because there's a lot of people in certain industries, like the last person to hold out and buy an EV, the last person to put solar on their house. Like that's when you know, okay, we've reached maturity.
Yeah, I always figure when my mom is doing something every day and I'm doing something every day, then it's probably not as much growth as I would have.
Right. It's not cool anymore.
The fact that we are still arguing about EVs and solar with everybody on the internet, it seems like at this point, because all the bears are correct now. This year they're correct. The last decade they were all wrong. So they finally have their year or two in the sun.
Yeah.
So that's the belief. That is actually the belief.
But that is exactly where that article was written. That article was in this period of 2001. At least for Amazon as a company. They're not profitable. They have inhumane business practice. The billionaires putting profits. They're not growing. They've never been profitable. Who knows if they'll even be around? Who knows if this online shopping thing is going to be a big thing?
It's with things we take for granted now. And it's good to look back because I never looked back and read these articles from different people, Let's do one more. I think I had something else. Let me see if I had something else here.
This was 2001. So this was a full 6 years before the iPhone was even introduced, where companies like Amazon could access those customers on a mobile device. This was all still done through web browsers back then.
Exactly. It was done through Internet Explorer mostly at that point. Amazon 2, I guess after Amazon 1 collapsed, the second one. Will this smile last? New York Times. This was written in May 19, 2002. Jeff Bezos is feeling a tad cocky lately. That might seem like a dog bites man observation for the founder of Amazon.com, a man so obsessed with brain power that he started a science and literature summer camp for children after his freshman year at Princeton and once hired only college graduates to staff the customer service phone lines at his company. Still, it's been a rough turn of the millennium. For Mr. Bezos, now 38, at the peak of the internet mania in 1999, Amazon stock soared above $100.
Split adjusted.
And he was Time Magazine's Man of the Year.
That seems to be a kiss of death. Like the year after you get
Elon with Time Magazine, Man of the Year.
Like as soon as you get Man of the Year, you're done.
A lionized for guaranteeing that the world of buying and selling will never be the same. Then a harsher reality set in. Amazon stock plunged to as low as $5.51, split adjusted. And this was from $110, people. This was the peak, $4.24. That's $110 equivalent. And it fell all the way to $5.51, which is 30 cents approximately.
29 cents.
Anyone who was invested lost all their money, meaning they lost their paper money. That's what they lost. They needed to get out of there, and they got it. They got it out of there losing 90, 70%, whatever they lost, never wanting to see a .com name again. Imagine that.
Can you just look back at what the market cap was back then?
There you go. Market cap was $4 billion of Amazon. Today, even being down, it's $850 billion, by the way.
Just to put in perspective what it's done.
Oh,
What is
it's
that
down
multiple?
50%, by the way. Yeah, let's do the
What is
calculation.
that multiple?
850 billion divided by 4.03, 210x. That's what you're up. Once again, these numbers are insane because you put in 10 grand, which is what me and you do for our bets now, right?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
210. Did I do it times? Hold on. 10 grand times 210x. Is that 2.1 million?
$2.1 million.
On 10 grand. You're up a lot, obviously. You're up 210x. You have 2.1 million from $10,000. Even $1,000. What would $1,000 be? $210,000. Yeah, $210,000. Even $210,000 is enough to put a nice down payment on a house. Then a harsher reality set in. Amazon stock plunged to as low as 551 in last fall, and at least one Ravia Surya, then at Lehman Brothers, another good one, Lehman Brothers, was predicting that the hemorrhaging giant would run out of cash. That was the prediction. Since its inception in 1995, the company has lost roughly $3 billion, and at the height of dot-com hoopla in early 2000 was accumulating losses at the rate of $300 million a quarter. Mr. Bezos even found himself serving as the main foil of a comic monologue in a popular one-man play, 21 Dog Years, Doing Time at Amazon.com by Mike Daisey, a former customer service agent. So they're getting a lot of hate, obviously. This was happening. It was a lightning-quick trip from internet poster boy to internet piñata, Mr. Bezos says with his famous high-pitched, delighted guffaw. He was not always so amused by the criticism. After Mr. Surya released his harshest reports in late 2000, Mr. Bezos' minions went on the warpath, offering a point-by-point refutation to practically anyone who would listen. But these days, Amazon appears to be entering yet another phase of its very analyzed public life. It is winning plaudits from investors for the speed at which it cut costs over the last year while maintaining sales growth. The company based in Seattle reported an actual profit at the end of the fourth quarter last year. Its first quarter results, reported in April, showed that sales were up 21% from the quarter a year earlier to 847 million, while losses had narrowed to 23 million from 217 million. So they were still losing money, but they were showing obviously some profits. But they were still investing more apparently, probably back into the business. Despite a string of high-level management departures, an increase in Amazon stock sales by a few important insiders, including Mr. Bezos himself, and abundant, persistent skepticism among Wall Street analysts about the long-term viability of Amazon's business model, investors sent the stock to a 52-week high of $20 last Wednesday. It closed on Friday at $19.16. So let's look back at the chart. So this was back in 2002, apparently during the recovery now.
It's insane how much of this is similar to Elon Musk's relationship with Tesla and Twitter. You could say that article was written today about Elon Musk, either in regards to Tesla or regards to the Twitter purchase.
And the weird thing is, if we were to bring up 2023 again, Tesla, which I still feel they missed their numbers, but they grew 40%. They missed their 50% numbers, but grew 40%, meaning they were even cash flowing and they were cash flow positive, and they still got totally hammered. Jeff Bezos now is recovering in his stock, still technically unprofitable at this point, but recovering. And it's not hammered anymore because at some point the narrative changed, right? Between 2001 to 2002. I'm wondering when that switch happens to Tesla. We don't know when that happens. That could be a year from now.
I think the information's there. It just needs to be what's focused on. Like, instead of looking at whether it's 40% or 50% quarter over quarter, if you just look at their total fleet now, if you start saying to yourself, Tesla is at an AI company and what they need is data. How many more vehicles did they get on the road collecting data? How does that help them in the future in terms of FSD, future products? This is why I think that thing in March is going to be important. I think that'll be where they focus on that.
The similarity there is Tesla's a car company only, and Amazon is a bookseller. Nobody knew what Amazon was actually going to be. Like AWS did not exist in the same. Maybe it internally they had some project, and then all the compute power they had. We can look up when this happened, but then they're like, oh, maybe we should make some money on this compute power.
Crazy radical CEO. Heartless, putting short-term profits over the long-term needs of their employees, questionable business practices, including selling stock for your own greed in the middle of a downturn. It's crazy how it's so similar. Yeah.
Look how fast. Like, at some point you think it's a fake out, right?
Yeah.
Like, I bet you so many people thought this was
sold right there. Yeah. Sold right there to 50 cents because they're
like, fake out. It's going down.
Almost a double. They're like, we're done.
And then you missed, I just want to point out, after the fake out, you missed at least this run, which was 424%. Bonkers. Okay, so we are right here when it was actually 91 cents.
Split adjusted. Yeah.
From the bottom, the depth of 30 cents. So a 3x, you had a pretty fast 3x for Amazon. I'm positive somewhere around this level where they thought they saw resistance that they, because look, it went up and then went down. I bet you a lot of people got out and were like, okay, we need to be out of Amazon. I am positive that kind of stuff was happening, just like it is sort of happening right now. People need to be out of Tesla. People need to be out of Enphase. People need to be out of
tech,
Google.
yeah, just
out of, still out of Amazon. And I mean, like even the good ones are going down. Let's take a look at what you would have made if you didn't leave.
Because Amazon is so inextricably linked to its founder, a wave of Bezos revisionism is also beginning to crest. He rode that out through the whole process and is probably going to get the respect he should for building just a magnificent company, said David E. Shaw, the chairman of D.E. Shaw and Company, the investment firm where Mr. Bezos worked just before starting Amazon and a longtime mentor. To Mr. Bezos and his friends, Amazon's latest status as .com survivor is more than just deserved vindication for him. It is a validation of their much maligned original vision that the internet is a revolutionary new form of commerce and that only companies that became big early, even while ignoring profitability, will survive. That is insane. That declaration by Bezos then. I mean, he's calling the world we're living in today. Only companies that become big early while ignoring profitability will survive.
I think he understood that how the internet works as opposed to how old businesses work, that you need to get to the top real fast. And I mean, this is played out with everything that we know that we have been investing in. It's not like this is a new idea. I mean, back in 2001, I think it was a new idea.
It was a new idea, yeah. The mistake that companies make is that when the external world changes suddenly, they can lose confidence and chase the newest wave. Mr. Bezos said in an interview last week, indulging in a swipe at all the .coms that had promised to be the Amazons of this or that product category and then failed. There was a lot of commotion, he said. We kept our focus. While Mr. Bezos says he himself never bought or perpetuated the myths of e-commerce, it is clear that he still conceives of himself more as a visionary than mere merchant. There are parts of what we do that are revolutionary, he said, listing as groundbreaking departures Amazon's ability to offer a wide selection because of the unlimited shelf space of the internet and to personalize each customer's shopping.
I want to point this out because you actually mentioned it too. Does everybody remember going here for all our books and all our coffee?
Yeah, Barnes and Nobles was like the Starbucks.
Luckily, they started incorporating that as a reason to go in there, actually.
Yeah.
And pee-pee, when you got a pee-pee.
That's true.
I want to bring this up because what you just read, Jeff Bezos, that the internet he understood was unlimited in terms of storing anything and the capability to sell anything. Barnes and Noble never understood that. So they considered that their online part was an extension of their retail
brick and mortar, yeah.
So I think this is what brought them down. Obviously, they couldn't pivot fast enough, but they just thought of it as an extension and not this new thing that Jeff Bezos understood, that we have to scale massively in every direction fast before someone like Barnes and Noble comes in and takes over, basically.
Yeah, before they get wind that this is where everything's going.
I do want to mention one funny thing is Walmart at this point was not even thinking of Amazon as a competitor. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it reminds me so much of how some of the legacy auto did not take Tesla seriously, or how
it still don't.
They're lying now. The difference is now
they've woken up.
You know that they're back then they weren't taken seriously.
Why didn't Google? Why didn't Apple? Why didn't Microsoft? Even if Apple doesn't really have this type of business, but why didn't the biggest companies at that time, IBM? Why didn't IBM? IBM. Let's talk about.
Yeah.
Why didn't they make a cloud business with computers and servers and racks, and then they had a bookstore do this? Like, you have to put yourself in that mindset. How did Jeff Bezos, who only started a bookstore, beat the bookstores, then beat Walmart, and then beat Google at its own game? It's kind of crazy that this is the person who did that. This brings back to all the companies we're investing in now. That I want to talk about Enphase for a second because we talk enough about Tesla. But once again, Enphase just sells microinverters. Some Chinese guy is going to come along and steal the microinverter business from them, not thinking about the whole energy stack and what they're trying to do with home energy and whatever,
charging, storage,
charging, and the companies they're buying. They're also doing planning, so they're actually doing a whole vertically integrated energy system, right? So once again, it's not that easy to come in once you've built all of these layers and just say, oh, I'm going to do that too.
trying to solve his own problem, he realized he has another market there. In order for Jeff Bezos to build out the infrastructure to the point where he could offer the services that he wanted, unlimited shelf space across the entire world and give people personalized results, requires so much compute power that the investment in that, he had to get a return on it and realize that he could just sell that service to other people. And so
Sounds a lot like Dojo.
it does sound a lot like Dojo, and it does sound a lot like Tesla being like, well, people have to charge their cars. Let's get into that part of it. It's really sort of like the same Goldilocks story, right? Of all these companies, they have that one time that really tests them. The market really tests them, makes what, like right now, I consider unreasonable demands on Tesla. The market considers pretty reasonable, and you agree, right? But this is where we battle that all out, and it's battled out on the financial markets. But in the end, we kind of know what the result's going to be. I think we've seen this pattern enough that Tesla will, overshoot this by a long shot in 20 years. It's just, how comfortable do you feel now investing now? The point of this is saying, if you look at the chart, it almost didn't matter when you bought, after the top or the bottom, because what we're up today is such a multiple that it's still an unfathomable amount of money.
Well, let's end it with, let's say we did buy at the top. Absolute peak. I just want to know how long it took me to recover. I'm back in character.
This is like buying Enphase at $320 or buying Tesla at $1,200.
From this point on, the peak, to get back to roughly here, it was 2,891 days.
How many? November 99 to October 2007. That took 8 years.
8 years. And this is what's crazy about investing, that it can happen all again with Tesla, with Enphase, with anything else. And I hear a lot of comments on our Discord, on our YouTube channel, that why would you want to sit in a dead stock for 8 years? If I know it's going to be dead, I don't want to sit in that stock. But we don't know the actual future. We don't know the path that Tesla or Amazon or Google, we don't know the path that they're going to take to get back to their all-time highs. And I want to be there when that happens. I don't want to be the guy trying to always think, oh, do I go in now? Do I go in now? Right. Okay, do we put $1 in today? Like, I don't want to do that. That'll actually give me a heart attack, I feel. Like, I have a position. I am still up on my position, in fact, for a lot of stocks that we've invested in, like Enphase and Tesla.
Yeah.
All I can do is DCA into the companies I believe in, thinking that they're undervalued now. And 10 years from now, maybe 20 years from now, they're going to be worth a lot more money. And I'm not going to care that I was there for 8 years, because life continued anyway, no matter what I did.
Amazon was trying to become a marketplace in something that was still brand new, known as the internet, pre-iPhone, when you didn't have access to mobile customers. They were in a really precarious position because they first had to wait for the actual internet to mature, and they needed that in order for them to reach people and be successful. And that's kind of what EVs and solar is going through now. But the margins are and even, it's not even the margins, the price points, the ASP of these things are just so much bigger. As these companies grow, we're going to witness the collapse of the companies they're disrupting. Like, part of what made Amazon so appealing is you actually saw Barnes and Noble stores closing. We saw them closing. You would see that on the news. Part of what made Netflix successful was you saw blockbusters going out of business, and you said that now there's no other game in town, right? And then that amplifies and accelerates the effect.
Well, yeah. So the catalyst for us is some big manufacturers start basically either consolidating or going bankrupt. If everybody thinks Enphase is going down, which is, I just want to bring this up the last point. If everybody thinks that that's going down, what happens to the smaller players who do microcontrollers?
Oh, I mean, they're all gone.
Enphase might just scoop them up. Or Solar Edge.
You're saying buy them. Yeah, they could acquire them.
Yeah. And just like, by the way, Amazon was acquiring. They acquired Zappos, and they acquired a bunch of diapers.com and whatever else they bought. What Tesla did was a magical thing.
Yeah.
What Enphase is doing is a magical thing. This is not something that can be recreated by everybody. Like, me and you cannot start a microinverter company and an EV company and have any chance of winning. Even if we raise tens of millions, hundreds of millions. Yeah. No chance. So Tesla's in a very strong position. They have money in the bank. Enphase is in a very strong position. They have money in the bank. Where's everybody else? They're all broke. So anyway, that's my little rant.
You can see in 2001, Vitaly was still as annoyed and pissed off and crabby as he is in 2023. If you like the Then and Now series, hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified when the next installment of this series is released. Oh yeah, and by the way, it is 2023. We do have a Discord and we have a Patreon. Please consider joining. The Discord's free.
So yeah, stay tuned for episode 2, where we're going to cover 2008 crash, Apple and Google.
How rich you would have been if you the first one and miss this one.
We'll take a look at Amazon again. What happened since the crash? Would we be up in 2008? And we know the answer is yes, but we'll take a look at that.
Right. We'll see how bad it hurts.
Part 2 of this.